many people who are afraid of giving their thoughts, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I do.
Same.
I know a lot of
And
people.
the media, look,
in business,
the media
in
has
media,
a serious
in
problem right
universities.
now, and I'm not saying.
It's like they say, a hit dog will holler. I mean, conservatives are very triggered by this, but maybe it's because it rings true. I don't know.
Look, Abby.
Like, there is no white genocide happening in South Africa. They get mad about those things and call you biased for just stating facts.
Well, I don't
so
get
it's
mad
very
at I'm a conservative. I'm here, not the president. I don't get mad by those things, Abby.
It's hard then to say that, it's just the journalists who are the problem and not the people who are. Why is it that we have to have, like, DEI for, ideological views, but you can't have DEI for anything else in this country? You wanted journalists to be objective. Not me.
Yeah, no,
I'm just saying,
it's important,
you are the one who said you want them to be objective, but that only seems to apply to people that you think are on the left.
No,
It doesn't apply to
not
diversity of opinions.
That's what I said.
But quite a few people on the right these days do not like that D word, the diversity word. Coming up.
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. I actually thought this was a good one, and I'm pretty sure Abby was mocking Little Shermichael in this little exchange. Check this out and we'll talk about it.
Tonight, MAGA world is lashing out after veteran CBS News anchor Scott Pelley delivered what they believed to be an anti-Trump commencement speech at Wake Forest University.
Our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack, and insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America.
Pelley did not mention Trump by name, but those words drew the ire of the MAGA faithful and Fox News host Laura Ingraham. She called the speech laughable, and conservative podcaster Scott Adams described it as angry and unhinged. Joining us in our fifth seat is CNN media correspondent Hadass Gold. Hadass, the reason that this is notable is, of course, we know what Trump is doing when it comes to CBS, and the idea that CBS journalists are being silenced in the Trump era so that their, parent co can make a few bucks. It is so notable coming from him, considering that he's still there.
Not successfully silencing, because 60 Minutes, to their credit, is still continuing to do hard-hitting journalism on the Trump administration and on the many topics that 60 Minutes covers, despite the pressure that they are facing from Paramount as Paramount seeks to have this deal. But I think it was notable to see the sort of divide online. Either people thought Scott Pelley was unhinged or they were applauding him, because honestly, lately, not a lot of people are standing up for journalists. Like, when was the last time you really heard somebody fighting for free speech and for journalists? I think a lot of reporters lately are feeling as though they're worried who's going to be the next corporate owner to capitulate to the Trump administration. We saw ABC settle. We're all expecting CBS to settle sometime soon. And people at the Washington Post are fearful over what's happened to the opinion section there. And I think for a lot of reporters out there, it's nice to hear somebody be so fired up over the defense of reporting, of the defense of journalism, and over the defense of seeking the truth. And honestly, if you have a problem with what Scott Pelley was saying, sit down and actually read the speech and tell me, do you really have an issue with what he's arguing for?
I mean, it's like they say, a hit dog will holler. I mean, conservatives are very triggered by this, but maybe it's because it rings true.
Yep, it's just like when they were called creepy during the campaign. She's exactly right.
I don't know.
Look, Abby, I started the show criticizing the president. I'm comfortable doing that, but I also think that 90% of commencement speakers are liberals. I'm not sure that journalists are in a press class right now. I feel like my wife is a Wake Forest alum, and she was irritated when she saw it too, feeling like, can't you give a commencement speak and giving people something encouraging as opposed to having to bring politics into it?
There's definitely a conversation to be had over how the media can and should, learn from the past and change maybe the reporting, and maybe we should, there's things to say about changing, but to attack what Scott Pelley was saying and the arguments he's making, I mean, these are very American arguments, and it's true, people are afraid to speak up. I'm a reporter, I'm calling people all the time, even just experts, professors at universities, universities, they don't want to be on the record. They are so afraid to even give a comment about something that might be unrelated to them.
And it's kind of a continuation of the conversation we were having in the previous block, because really what he's talking about is the fear that's seeping in, because if you speak about things that are disfavored by this administration, it's not just that they're going to be mad at you, they're going to try to use the government to punish you. And I think that's what he's talking about when he says there's fear of speaking in this country.
Yeah, I don't know many people who are afraid of giving their thoughts, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I do.
Same.
I know a lot of
And
people.
the media, look,
In
the
he's one of
the
them.
media has a serious
in
problem right now,
universities.
and I'm not certain how many people would have even saw that speech if it were not for social media. Or maybe you're a great show, Abby. Maybe you can go work for MSNBC when CBS is sold. The reality is the media has a problem. Most Americans, it's not just Republicans, it's a whole lot of Democrats who do not generally trust people in the press. And the media created this. And instead of trying to fix it, they continue to, in my personal opinion, not all, because there are a lot of great journalists. You're a great journalist. I presume you're a great journalist. I don't know you, but there are many. But there are a whole lot of them that are biased. Most of them are not objective, in my personal opinion. Most of them do lean to the political left. And I think that's pretty accurate to make that argument.
But is that really what?
Really quickly, guys, that's amazing. I'm pretty sure she was like, haha, I know some who are afraid to talk. She was speaking about him. I'm pretty sure. That was so good. Little Shermichael, he is so unbelievable as he sits there in his booster seat and acts like he's above it all and knows exactly part of the problem with reporting and journalism. When he's one of those people, the audacity, guys, when he wrote a column, again for the 10th time, while working under Trump during his first term in HUD, he criticized Trump because of how he spoke about the black community. And he critiqued him softly, guys. Trump fired him from HUD immediately and was physically escorted out of the building just for speaking truth to power. Now he sits there and lies and bends over backwards to defend Trump's racism and anything and everything he puts out there. He's truly incredible. He's exactly the problem, part of the problem. And he's not completely wrong about the media, but the overwhelming majority of the lies, and some of these lies are just so insane. It's just coming from the right. Trump banned the AP from the White House press pool because they wouldn't call the Gulf of Mexico as the world, and we've recognized it for what, over 100 years, something like that, the Gulf of America. I mean, to just it's unbelievable how can they just avoid and ignore. I mean, guys, Fox was sued $800 million for lying, the largest media channel by far, and still lying.
What conservatives want, objective journalists, like
It's what I want as a conservative. It's what I want.
Where are the objective journalists on the right? I mean, you have people on the right who have their opinions, who wear them on their sleeves, and I don't ever hear you complaining about that.
I'm not against a journalist giving an opinion, Abby, but journalists always like to make the argument that there's these objective arbiters of the truth.
I guess
I'm not
objecting to your idea that there's been a loss of trust. But I do think that you can't have this conversation without also noting that this particular administration, which is what the speech was about, and this president, they get mad when you point out things that are actually factually true, like Donald Trump lost the last election. Like, there is no white genocide happening in South Africa. They get mad about those things and call you biased for just stating facts.
Well, I don't get mad. I'm a
hard.
conservative. I'm here, not the president. I don't get mad by those things, Abby.
It's hard then to say that, oh, it's just the journalists who are the problem and not the people who are lying.
Well, ask most people in the country,
public.
Abby.
I don't know.
It's not just about journalism under attack. It's the underlying things about journalism that's so important. Fact-checking is currently under attack. On Twitter, you can tweet whatever you want, and it gets millions of views, and you're lucky hours or days later to get a community note. Mark Zuckerberg celebrated firing his fact-checkers. That's the environment we live in. So we need good journalists on the left and the right
agree with that,
who have a commitment to the truth And that's what's the problem. This has been reported. The entire editorial board of the Washington Post was told that they can only write on certain issues. You have people on The View being told that they need to back off criticizing Trump. That's the problem. Without good journalism, what used to be believed by Jeff Bezos of democracy dying in darkness, that's what happens. And we need to fight for journalists to make sure that that is upheld, that the fact-checking and the truth is upheld.
And can I say something really quick on that, too? I understand that, like, sure, your wife, Wake Forest alum, I went to TCU. I probably would have been a little frustrated if my commencement speaker was being so politically tilted in one direction. But at the end of the day, that was the only way that Scott Pelley was going to get this kind of attention. And I think when you are working in a very crowded, complex media environment and you're trying to break through on a really important issue, I mean, we're talking about it because he gave this in a commencement. He said this on Twitter in a commencement.
Since you brought up the politicization of commencement speeches,
Really quickly about the commencement thing. Why do you think Republicans and conservatives, like, you guys continue to attack education, science, history? You do nothing but attack it because it goes against your just stupid lies. And in fact, it's the reason why you hate things like education so much is because you want to be able to lie to the public. And if they build a foundational set of knowledge, they will be able to see right through the nonsense and be able to define what a tariff is, or at least be able to capable to look it up and read it. That's why you hate education so much. Why would they invite Republicans and conservatives to just go up there and spew nonsense? I'm being honest. Let me know in the comments. Say some conspiracy theories on how the Jews are controlling the solar system or something bigoted, racist, just the usual garbage that you guys talk about. I mean, like, seriously. Literally nothing inspiring for you or hopeful that you guys have to say to little kids or children or college students. It's just full of nothing but hatred for these different groups, that group, women, and just cruelty over there. It's just garbage. Conspiracy, just nonsense. I mean, am I wrong on this, guys? Let me know in the comments.
President gave a commencement speech on Saturday, and let me just play a little bit of what he said.
There will be no more critical race theory or transgender for everybody forced onto our brave men and women in uniform. Or he ended up getting a divorce, found a new wife. Could you say a trophy wife? I guess we can say a trophy wife. The job of the U.S. Armed Forces is not to host drag shows, to transform foreign cultures, or to spread democracy to everybody around the world at the point of a gun.
Guys, I swear I forgot that was on this video. I forgot that was in here. And that speech. It's unbelievable. This is exactly what I mean. Nothing but garbage.
You're irritated about that too, Mark?
Look, I don't think that was his best speech. I don't think that's the right form to give it. West Point, I concur with that.
With the MAGA hat and everything.
But I also think if you're going to suggest in any way there's a balance of commencement speakers, there's not. There's simply not. And so, I don't accept the point that Scott Pelley didn't have another platform to make those points. I mean, of course, he didn't need to go to Wake Forest University.
Do it on YouTube, and how many people are going to talk about that?
I think he's got a platform.
I guess, can I just raise one other thing? Why does there need to be a balance of commencement speeches? Why can't people just have their views
at a minimum,
and say them?
Well, you know
I mean, why is it that we have to have, like, DEI for ideological views, but you can't have DEI for anything else in this country?
Bingo.
I would say for every major news company in this country, have your journalists go on air and say, look, I vote for Democrats, I give to Democrats, and I'm going to report the news. So at least as a viewer, I can say, well, I don't want to listen to this Democrat versus them lying to pretend that they're objective.
Conservatives consume partisan news all the time.
Sure.
The question is, who punishes them for their viewpoints? I think that's the question.
Well, social media companies for years shadow banned conservative voices.
Okay.
I mean, I could make a list of how conservatives have been shadow banned across social media for years, even journalists.
And the idea is that we don't want that to happen. We don't want the government to do that. So then why the silence when Trump does it? I think that's the part I don't understand.
It's not silence, at least from me. I can only speak for myself. What I'm simply saying is that in my experience, many individuals that I have encountered in the press lean to the left. Their views are of the left. The way they view reporting in general is because of their worldview. It's not objective at all. And to pretend that they're these objective arbiters, to me, is to just lie to the American people. And that's not fair.
I agree with you. I think that idea of objectivity needs to be fully scrutinized.
Sure.
I don't even know that it really applies, but you were the one who said you wanted journalists to be objective. Not me.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's-
just saying
it's important,
you were the
I
one
think.
who said you want them to be objective, but that only seems to apply to people that you think are on the left.
No,
It doesn't
no,
apply to
no,
most
not
people.
at all.
And again, just like the school things, if journalism leans left, why do you think that is? Journalism is built on speaking the truth. So I would assume most of them would lean left because, again, Republicans just lie. They just want to be able to lie. When he says that journalism leans left, he really means that they lean towards the truth. And at that moment, Abby needs to ask him, who gets shadow banned? Who's getting shadow banned? Unless they are saying something brutally disgusting in one way or another to harm someone, who the hell are you talking about?
Balance in commencement speakers. You don't think we should strive to get balance?
No, I think that people should have their viewpoints, and they should be able to say them. And it
Sure.
doesn't matter where their
And
viewpoints fall on
universities
the
should try to find a
ideological spectrum.
balance and try and find both
Yeah, I
sides.
mean,
But what are you going to do? Have like all the universities come together and say half of you guys are going to have a Democratic speaker and half of you guys are going to have
are we-
it doesn't work
is that
that
what
way.
we're
You
doing?
invite
Are you
people
going to
to
argue?
speak
Are
because
you
you
really going to argue
appreciate
that
their
the vast of the
viewpoint.
commencement speeches across the country right now are really balanced?
I'm not. I don't know, Mark, how many are Democrats or Republicans. What I can say is, I think if you were invited to by a public institution or a private college, whatever, to give it a commencement address, you were invited because they want you to say what you want to say to inspire the students. And I think Scott Pelley gave a very important message, a warning to this next generation of, budding, journalists or whatever these students end up doing, to make sure they understand what's at stake and use their voice effectively and to exercise the First Amendment
We all
right.
learn more when there's diversity of opinions.
I-
you only came from one side.
100%. Listen, I think we can
1000%,
all
I agree with that.
agree on that. We do learn more from a diversity of opinions.
That's what I said.
But quite a few people on the right these days do not like that D word, the diversity word. Coming up next.
They hate that word. And again, they're not asking the simple question. Again, do you ever ask yourself as to why the colleges don't want you in? Why do the colleges commencements, they don't want you there as speakers? Or why the reporting leans left? I mean, again, it's just, you lean left if you say the truth. If you told the truth about tariffs, they call you a socialist, liberal, you're leaning left. Like, this is, guys, am I wrong about that? That's all I'm really seeing there. Like, guys, and this whole shadow banning thing, if you're just going to be spewing lies and conspiracies, and this is my perspective, that can endanger people, yes, you should be shadow banned, you idiots. How do you not see that as an issue? You're putting people in danger, in harm's way. If you're going to be putting people in danger, you really don't think they should be limited. In every other parts of society, we restrict it, right? Like, you're not allowed to have a bunch of drinks and just be allowed to drive, right? Because you say freedom. You know how stupid that sounds? You're going to hurt someone. And like, this is what is, guys, this is what it's all about. Republicans cry about fact-checking and freedom of speech all the time. And that's all it is. They just simply want to be able to lie to their voters about different groups and people and scare them into voting. It's the same reason why they hate education, history, and science, because it tells people the truth about things. And this whole freedom of speech and saying stuff online, like, they just want to be able to use the N-word, guys, and other vile, disgusting words to describe people and further harm and demonize them without being held accountable. That's the main part. It was a skyrocket increase in slurs as soon as Elon Musk took over. Oh, I wonder why. Like, Republicans out there, again, conservatives, these pundits you follow, they're just lying to you. Look up some of these things, especially some of the most salacious things that they say that sound a little bit out there. Just try looking things up, and you'll start to see who's lying to you and who's telling you the truth. And you're gonna find out that there's gonna be no right-wingers to follow, because they all lie to you for your viewership, so that they can become multi-millionaires, which they all are. Open your eyes. The conspiracy you're always looking for is right in front of your eyes, papi. And mommies. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps push the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.